Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting of Bedford Township for July 21st, 2020. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Goldsmith, at this time, could you open us up in prayer?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Father in heaven, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for your protection of us as a community and as a nation. Father, I pray for the board members tonight to provide them with discernment, with wisdom, so that they may consider the business before them and make wise decisions on behalf of the township and all of its residents. And all these things I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Item 3 is the consent agenda.
Excuse me, could I just interrupt for a minute?
I remember the agenda, huh?
I remember when this happened to me and my thing went out as soon as the meeting started. I just think that we should ask George if he's trying to get Rick back or.
Well, Rick just texted. He said he's go ahead and start without him because he got booted out, and now he can't get back in. So he's going to try to restart his computer.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure we were communicating.
No, I appreciate that. Number 2 is approval of the agenda.
I'd like to add on the agenda 8F, hiring of temporary help in for the finance department.
Okay, any further additions? Seeing none, I look for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the agenda with the one noted addition.
Support.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Clemens, supported by Ms. Tinneberry. Discussion. Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Clemens?
Aye.
Ms. Tinneberry?
Aye.
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Steiner is still trying to log in. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, and the motion passed 6-0. Item 3 is the consent agenda. The agenda committee recommends to A, approve and place on file the minutes of the July 7th, 2020 regular meeting of the Bedford Township Board. B, accept and place on file the general, savings, pooled funds, and CD reports from the treasurer. C, approve and place on file the revenue, expense report, and balance sheet for the period ending June 30th, 2020. D, appoint Kevin Loderack to the DDA, the Downtown Development Committee, to replace Michelle Rice for a partial term ending 12/31/2020. Look for a motion.
So moved.
Yeah.
Okay, motion by Mr. Clemens.
Support.
Supported by Ms. Tinneberry. Discussion.
I do. I had some questions about the due from state on the very first page of the general fund in the amount of $422,157.87. That is just the estimate of what June's revenue sharing would have been. We did get less, so there will be an adjustment made for the audit. But that was just an estimate that Dave Manning had put in that he had gotten from the state. So I just wanted to let everyone know that.
Okay. Any comments or questions to that? Okay, seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Clemens?
Aye.
Ms. Tinneberry?
Aye.
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner is still trying to get logged in. Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 6-0. Item 5 is public comment. Comments limited to 2 minutes for board agenda items only. Yeah, I just got a text that there's no meeting on YouTube, so no, not the text I just got from a resident. says on there 15 waiting. Yeah, you got a call right there.
Hello, this is Gail Kane, excuse me, 1056 West Temperance. I'm calling in regarding agenda items number 8A. I'm questioning whether or not there was a verified number 2 payment given to Mulch King. Discussion on this issue was denied at the last meeting. Secondly, I'd like to address 8B. I'm fully aware of the planning committee's process, but I would like clarification on the green coloring that is on that parcel. I was unable to see clearly and to be able to read it from the packet that's online. And in general, the comment is that people can do with their property. However, I think we need to bear remembrance that just because you buy it does not ensure that you get to do with it what you want. As far as 8D, I am wholeheartedly opposed. If this is any attempt to defund the police, we need to support our millages if we want these essential services, everything from the library to seniors, fire, and police. And 8E, I'm not real sure because there wasn't anything in the packet, but we have people who are being criticized about chickens and chicken noise, and I really don't know that we need to expand on a zoo. We have 2 of the top-notch zoos, one in our front yard and one on our back. And so at this point, I would really be concerned with expanding anything of this nature in this community at this time. That's it. I thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Have a great night. Good evening. Go ahead and
Hi,
state
this
your name
will-
and address.
Yeah, Lamar Frederick from 3254 Deer Creek Drive. I'm 2 comments. One on the consent agenda, number C. What?
Go ahead with your comments, sir.
Okay, number 1. On consent agenda, item 3C, you show a general fund balance of $3 million. Your actual cash is about 1/3 of that. And so be careful when you start talking about spending this year because your cash is a lot shorter than that. I've also been led to believe that a grievance has been filed against the township by the maintenance department as a violation of the contract. And so it seems to me that this should be on this board because this is a grievance filed against the board itself. And so the further thing is that you're supposed to be negotiating a new contract pretty soon, and here's a grievance that's been filed. So, folks, you've got some work to do. Bye.
Thank you for your comments. Any more comments from the public, George?
I don't know how you make the announcement, but I just looked up on YouTube and we're streaming under the Planning Commission 7-8 is what it says we're streaming on. So I don't know how you make that announcement, but
George, did you hear that? Okay. Okay. All right, moving on. Okay. Okay, moving on to new business, 8A, vouchers for payment. Ms. Hersberger?
I'd like to make a motion that the following vouchers be approved for payment. General fund, the amount of $92,676.55. Fire district fund, $20,089.72. Police fund, $2,510.31. Park Operating Fund, $1,118.12. Transit System Fund, $9,901. Library Operating Fund, $637.86. Sewer O&M Fund, $440,235.34. Trust and Agency Fund, $97, for a grand total of $567,265.90.
Okay, do we have a support?
Krista did, she's muted.
I support.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Hershberger, supported by Ms. Januzak. Any more discussion?
Page 2, under buildings and grounds, the last line in that, has a network cabling for the fire department. And I didn't know if that, hey, Rick's back. I didn't know if that should have landed under the fire department or fire district fund or anything else, or if that should be landing in buildings and grounds. I don't know if Chief's on, if
I just need to find it. That is where it should be, because the fire department improvements are, all the money was moved to capital outlay under buildings and grounds. So anything that has to do with Fire Station 1 is being pulled out of capital outlet fire station. And that's where it falls. We even contacted the auditor, and that's where he told us that account should be sitting, because it's not coming from fire, it's coming from our general fund.
Thank you. Yeah, that's all I had. I just wasn't sure. So it did get like moved kind of, but that's where all future, if there's anything else like that, will go in there now. Okay, cool.
Any payments that'll go for that Fire Station 1 will come out of that. That's where the money was transferred that we borrowed from Huntington. So all payments will come out of that fund.
Great, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, once we approve this or move forward, we'll take the call. Could you call the roll, please?
Hershberger votes aye. Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Mr. Steiner?
He
You're
said
muted.
aye.
I saw him say aye. We just couldn't hear him say aye. There he goes. Ms. Tinneberry?
Aye.
Mr. Clemens?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Go ahead with the caller, George. This is for the first comment, the 2-minute. Hello, go ahead with your name and address. Are you there? I think we lost him, George. Okay, let's go ahead and keep moving on to 8B. Rezoning of parcel number 5802-105-023-00, 5802-105-025-00, and 5802-105-026-00. East side of Secor Road, south of Smith Road, from R2A single family residential to RM2 multifamily residential. Ms. Tinneberry?
Yes, this came before the planning commission at our last meeting. I'm thinking that caller might have been the applicant, but I'm not sure, but I'm thinking it might have been him calling in to see if there's any questions, but I'll do my best to get started here. If he calls back, then we can address it then. But the property owner is Richard Kimball, and it's the agent for Mr. Kimball is Scott Bolin. He was virtually present at our planning commission meeting and filled us in. The planning commission had quite a bit of discussion on this, partly because of the location. It's located on Secor Road on the east side. I'm directionally challenged, so if I get that wrong, let me know. On the east side, between Smith and the, basically the golf course. And we all know the traffic problem, traffic situation there. And it's very bad. However, we, as we have talked about here on this board before, the property rights of a person have to be revered, have to be understood and accepted. And it's not a property owner's responsibility to solve traffic problems. It's the Monroe County Road Commission's responsibility. And from what was discussed at the meeting, they mentioned that the widening of this portion of Secor Road has been discussed, but there's no plans that I'm aware of, and anyone in the Planning Commission was aware of, at the direct time to widen that property. So the Planning Commission, the Planning Department provided you with a very extensive and complete undertaking of what went on at that Planning Commission meeting, and also the plans. The caller, the previous caller, in our open comment time, asked about the green printed area, and I don't know which one she's referring to, because on page 2 there's a green square and green showing the trees, and then on another page, the map page, there's light green all over there. So I'm not sure what she's referring to, but the green area on the description page.
Hey, Nancy, can I stop you for a second? George,
Sure.
let this caller through in case it's somebody for the project. Go ahead, Nancy, you can keep talking.
Okay. The green area is future land use, and so I don't know. I don't think that really it has a bearing on this, but personally, just my take is I believe in property rights. I believe that when someone buys a property, owns the property, as long as it fits into the master plan and it fits into the land use and the zoning, well, of course, they're asking for a rezoning, but actually the rezoning goes from residential to also residential, multi-residential, but it's still residential. It's not as though it's turning it into a commercial piece.
So we good, George? Okay, I'd like to apologize to the public. We're having technical difficulties, so we'll get through it. Bear with us. This happens from time to time. So Ms. Tinnevery's made a motion on item 8B for approval. We do not have a support yet.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Ms. Tinnevery, supported by Mr. Steiner. Discussion? Okay, seeing none. Ms. Hertzberger, could you call the roll, please?
Ms. Tinnevery,
Aye.
Mr. Steiner.
Aye.
Mr. Clemens,
Aye.
Mr. Montroy,
Aye.
Ms. Janusik.
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni.
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8C, service agreement between Bedford Township and the Monroe Conservation District. Okay, this comes before us every year. This is a partnership with the Monroe Conservation District. Typically, Connie Veliquit and one of her team members would come and explain the whys. And I think it's something that we need to continue to do. It's called within the Michigan Agricultural Environmental Assurance Program. They continue to work diligently on the issues that face the county, the county regarding to the Western Lake Erie Basin Phosphorus Reduction Initiative, with an emphasis on reducing total and dissolved reactive phosphorus to aid the reducing the threat of harmful algal blooms.
You think that's one of them?
That's one of the main things.
No. Did you see the
Call.
call?
Oh, the call.
I think it
I
might
didn't know
be
if that's the
Connie.
Connie is what I meant.
Okay,
Yeah, I meant.
go ahead,
is that-
George, take the call. Hello there. Connie? Is this Connie Veliquit?
No, this is Keith Kitchens.
Okay. George, you want to put that in a holding tank until the 5-minute comment comes up, please? Okay. Hey, Keith, you there? Just hang up and call back when the
Yeah.
5-minute comment time comes.
Right on.
Okay, thank you. So, anybody have any questions on this, or we do this something we do every year? Ms. Tinnevery, did you want to expand on it a little bit, or?
But, not really expand, I'm in favor of it. I think it does a wonderful, they do a lot of good for farmers and also conservationists, but, I'm just wondering, is this the same agreement that we approved last year? I mean, I read the agreement, and I don't see anything wrong with this agreement, but I was just wondering if the agreement had been changed at all.
I don't believe so.
Okay, all right.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? So, I look for a motion.
Mr. Supervisor, I'll make a motion to enter into the Bedford Township and Monroe County Conservation District Service Agreement for the amount of $1,000 effective July 1 of 2020 through June 30th of 2021 as presented.
Support, second, whatever.
Okay, motion by Mr. Steiner, supported by Ms. Tinnevery. Discussion? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner,
Aye.
Ms. Tinnevery,
Aye.
Mr. Montroy,
Aye.
Mr. Clemens,
Aye.
Ms. Janusik.
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni.
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8C, or 8D, approval of a resolution to place a law enforcement renewal proposal on the 2020 general election ballot. Ms. Hirschberger?
I don't know if Phil wants to talk about this, but it is just a renewal. And it's exactly what this board discussed at one of our committee of the whole meetings that we had when we discussed both the fire and the sheriff's department. We agreed that this resolution would go, or this ballot language would go in November. It would be a renewal, and we asked for, and the board asked for it to be 5 years. And it would go on the December tax season this year.
Okay.
So the last one ended last December. This one will pick right up in November. December. Sorry about that.
Ms. Tinneberry?
Is the 0.3896, is that subject to the Headley? Is that rolled back? Yes? Okay, and do either of you, I meant to call you before, so if you can't, I'm good with that, but this would generate approximately 460,890. What is the millage that we get currently? Do you know? The number amount, the dollar amount?
Dollar amount? Off the top of my head, no.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I can get you the numbers, Nancy. If you want, I can email them to you tomorrow.
Okay, that'll be nice. I was just curious. I'm not, I just wondered how the whole Headley thing affected that number, so. Okay, thank you.
With respect to Headley,
Phil, can you turn your volume up a little bit?
sure. That better?
Yes.
Okay. With respect to Headley, I checked with the Monroe County Equalization Director, Michael Wolford. We had a Headley reduction fraction of 0.9936. So the original millage that was previously adopted or previously voted upon by the electorate was 0.4 mils. So with the Headley reduction, the Headley rollback, that's what takes it down to 0.3896 mils. So for this to qualify as a renewal, we had to apply the Headley reduction. If we wanted to bring it up back to 0.4 mils, it would actually be a new ballot proposal. Therefore, being a renewal, the Headley rollback reduction applied.
Thank you, Phil. I knew that we started out at 0.4. I was just curious how much it affected the bottom line on the dollar side, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm supportive of it. I should have asked beforehand and I got too busy.
So
Okay.
this is a continuation of an existing millage to fund law enforcement within Bedford Township. Not a defunding of the police department, but actually an extension of funding, a renewal of our sheriff's deputy contract.
Correct. And keep in mind, even though the cost of the deputies has gone up, what was it, Mr. Goldsmith, 23,000 per officer, roughly?
Roughly.
We're not increasing the millage. We're going to incur that cost. So, anybody else have any discussion or questions, Mr. Steiner?
And just to point out too, that this is for the additional deputies over and above what we already pay through our general fund to have here in Bedford Township. So that's what this millage was actually created for back when Larry Odell and I were on the original committee that started to seek this millage to add officers to our group here.
Okay, I look for a motion.
Mr. Supervisor, I'll make a motion that this board approve the resolution for the ballot language for the law enforcement renewal to appear on the November 3rd, 2020 general election ballot.
Support.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Clemens, supported by Ms. Januzak. Discussion.
I have something to say. I was getting a couple questions on this with the tax dollars when they were collected. Like somebody asked me, well, since this expired in December, are they going without money? No. When the taxes were collected in December, the funds were paid out in March of this year. So when the funds are collected for this, if it passes, when it's collected in December, it won't be dispersed until March or February, end of February, March of 2021. So they're not going without money. It's just not dispersed in December. So I just wanted to clear that up because I had some questions on that.
Okay. Any more comments? If none, we should call the roll, please.
You're muted, Trudy.
Mr. Clemens,
Aye.
Ms. Janzasek,
Aye.
Mr. Steiner.
Aye.
Mr. Montroy,
Aye.
Ms. Tinneberry,
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni.
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Okay, item 8E, direction on whether to consider adopting a text amendment to the zoning ordinance which would allow zoos in an agricultural zone district after special use approval. Ms. Tinneberry, did you want to take this one?
Actually, this, I think this is
Actually, Mr.
Bill's.
Goldsmith would actually be
Yeah,
better for
this
this.
is
Yeah, he
Bill's
put this
because
on the
I-
agenda, so
Yeah,
sorry about that, Phil.
That's okay. Yes, I sent a memo in to the clerk's department asking that this matter be placed on the agenda. And the reason for that is, as you all know, we have a resolution just recently adopted whereby any text amendments to our zoning ordinance needs to come to the board first before the process starts to get approval. So the situation that we currently have is that we all know we have a zoo within Bedford Township. It's situated within an agricultural zoning district. Unfortunately, our zoning ordinance does not make provision for a zoo in any zoning district. And the most appropriate place, and I think Karen and Jody in our planning department agree with this, the most appropriate zoning district for a zoo is in an ag district. Well, that's good news because that's where our zoo is. This text amendment to the zoning ordinance really is meant to legitimize a use that's there. Normally, I would use the term prior legal nonconforming use. It's a prior use, but not technically legal, at least by the zoning ordinance. And so to legitimize that use and to amend our zoning ordinance so that zoos are allowed after special use approval, we need to, again, amend the zoning ordinance. So this is not meant to run the zoo out of town or the township. I've already given the opinion that they're there, they've been there. They have licensing and permitting through the state of Michigan, through the federal government. I would like to legitimize their location or their use at that location by amending our zoning ordinance to provide for zoos in an ag district after special approval, and to, within that zoning district, in that text amendment, to provide reasonable standards. And really what it boils down to, as this zoo expands, it will give the township the authority to work with them so that the expansion is compliance within reasonable standards. Again, not to injure the operation that's already there, but to work with them and to more adequately control it. And then if other zoos wanted to locate within the township, they would have to comply with the special use approval. One question that was asked of me, well, will this zoo have to go through the special approval process? No, that's my answer, my legal opinion, because they are there. But going forward, if they were going to make changes, then they would have to comply with simply site plan review, perhaps engineered drawings, that sort of thing, but only if their expansion would be open to the public. So that's the method to my madness. It came about because there were questions that came to me from the building department, some issues arose, and therefore I suggested that we approach it this way. So obviously we couldn't do anything without the board's approval. So I thought it best to put this in front of the board, let the board discuss it. And then the next step, if the board said, yes, let's do that, it would go to planning, and Jody and Karen would put together an analysis, and that would come back to the board pursuant to our resolution, recently adopted resolution. And then it would go into the creation stage of the text amendment. And then it would go to planning. and then come back to the board for approval or not. So that's it.
Ms. Tinneberry.
Well, being on planning, I hadn't seen any of this or any of this discussion. So my question, and you answered it somewhat, Phil, but why now? I mean, the Indian Creek Zoo is not the first zoo in Bedford. I've been here 50 years, and there was a Nature's Creek Zoo that our kids went to. There's a petting zoo. We've taken our grandchildren when they were small to let's see, what is that? Samaria Road. I mean, we have other zoos and we've had them for years. This particular zoo, Indian Creek Zoo, has been there at least 10 years that I can think of. And I'm just questioning that. I mean, I guess my point is I don't like to react to somebody's complaint. And he's in an egg zoning. Is there something with animal control? Is there something with, I mean, we have farms that have all kinds of animals on them. Does this have something to do with, you said the building department. I don't understand how the building department would have, and I mean, it's been there 10 years. I just need more explanation. I'm sorry. You may not want to do it in public, but I need it. I need to hear it, and other people question it too.
Well, I'd be happy to explain. So there has been some disagreement between our building department and the zoo as to what is required of the zoo as it expands. And as it expands and as it opens up new buildings, for example, or exhibits that are open to the public, that the public actually go into and enter, it is our building department's position that requires site plan review, just like for any other business, and that would require, in some cases, an engineered drawing if you're building a structure that's going to be open to the public. Right now, that zoo is not a permitted use in any zoning district. The other petting zoos and so forth were much smaller than what we have now. That zoo has been successful and it's expanded, and this is not meant to penalize it or anything of that nature. It's really meant to legitimize it. So it's just a matter of providing for and implementing fair standards. Should anyone else want to come in and try to do something similar, they would know what zoning district they have to be in, what the standards are that would apply to a zoo, what the minimum land mass area would be, things like that. So
just to add to it, Phil, I think part of the problem is the zoo and Duke Farm and maybe a couple others would say that, hey, it's the Right to Farm Act. I don't have to go through the approval to put up a barn on my property, because I'm ag, I'm a farm, and I think this might clean that up. So there's you know what I mean? And that's the difference is, I think that's where the argument is, right, Phil, the Right to Farm Act, and whether or not they have to go through this process with engineered plans, because it adds a lot of money to the project when you have to have engineered plans and drawings to put up a barn for animals to be in. And they're saying, well, if public goes in it at all, then you have to go through all that process.
That's it. The Right to Farm Act would still apply in those applications if it was a building solely for the housing of animals. But when you introduce public into a building for exhibits, that changes it, and the Right to Farm Act is no longer applicable. It is to that area that's solely used for the housing of animals, but when you introduce the public, that's a different issue. So the Right to Farm Act would still apply to a lot of space within that zoo or any other similar type activity. but where the public is, and then there's a different set of rules that apply. And I think the owners of the zoo understand that. I've discussed this very issue with them.
Ms. Tenary?
I'm gonna throw another fly into the ointment because nowadays there are a lot of weddings that are being held in barns, and barns haven't been engineered. So I think if we're gonna do this amendment, text amendment, we need to start thinking about that so we don't have to come back to this issue, because that's kind of the trend. I mean, people want their wedding in a barn, and that means bringing in the public. That's it.
No, that has been an issue. Our building department has worked with folks who have done that, and there are certain inspections that the building official has required, furnishing adequate ADA type accessible lavatories, things of that nature. So, yeah, that is and it depends on where it's at. We have a use like that in the Village Overlay District that's being used, and I think quite successfully so. But to my knowledge, the owner of that facility has cooperated with the building department and done what needs to be done to make it safe for the public.
Any more comments, questions, concerns? If not, I look for a motion.
I'll make a motion. I move that we move ahead and recommend to the planning department that they work with the attorney to move forward on the text amendment regarding zoos and agricultural zoning. Would that be any more than that, Phil?
No, that's fine. I think we would come back and present it to the board as a special use approval item. Board could have discussion, see if they like the standards and that sort of thing, and move forward from there. So that's fine.
Okay.
Do we have a support?
Second.
Okay, motion by Ms. Tenary, supported by Mr. Steiner. Discussion? Okay, seeing none, could you call the roll, please, Ms. Hirschberger?
Ms. Tinneberry?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Clemens?
Aye.
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, and the motion passed 7-0. Item 8F, discussion on direction for seasonal help in the finance office. Ms. Hirschberger?
I sent an email out over the weekend, just letting the board members know that with the finance director being gone and the election, that I was looking to hire a temporary person for finance that could do everything without myself having to train them, so I could handle the election with all the applications coming in and all the other duties that I'm trying to do. We already have 2 extra people in there, so there's actually 5 of us trying to work. I only have 3 systems with the election to work with, so it's not going to help me to bring any more in for election. What I need is someone that can handle the finance and keep us out of the weeds during this period. I went out and Paul found a temporary service, and I actually was contacted by Plant Moran, who offered their service. And then Hayden from Ringo has experience. Out of all of those, Hayden was the lowest cost. He has the governmental finance experience. He has experience with BSNA. He doesn't need to be taught. He would come in at $59.37 an hour. Salary professional service, a temp agency, does not have the government accounting experience, but they would come in at $62.76 an hour. Plant Moran could handle everything. They have all the experience we're looking for. Also, they have the BSNA, they have the governmental experience, but they're coming in at $130 to $150 an hour. I would like to bring in Hayden. He's the lowest price. I know it's expensive, but we're not paying a finance director right now, so we do have that salary we could use for this. and it would cover, I'm only looking possibly 4 to 6 weeks till we get someone in place. I'm still taking applications for the position.
So after talking to Ms. Hirschberger a little bit today, you said you've gotten one application turned in?
Correct.
And then after we looked a little bit, there's a company that can actually help you find somebody, but they're having trouble finding somebody that would locate here. What's the board's thoughts on utilizing the same service as we use to find fire chief? I personally, I think it's extremely important that we find somebody that is going to, fit the need. I'm sure the applicant that, Trudy has is a good one, but I really feel like we need to probably expand our reach and look for the right fit. I know it's a cost to do that, but I've put it out on Facebook. Krista, you want to tell us all where it's been put out? It's been put out quite a bit, Mr. Hirschberger, right?
We have it out on MTA. We put it out on the Michigan Treasurers Association. We put it out on the Michigan Clerks Association. We have it out on our website. I did get one application. They are local. They live in Bedford. I cannot disclose the name of that person because they are still currently working. They have the credentials we're looking for. That's about all I can say right now.
Ms. Hirschberger? I'm sorry, Mrs. Tenenberry.
I know, we look alike, so I, for one, am not interested in using the firm or whatever we did for the fire chief. That's a totally different level of management. We decided we're not going to call the finance director. Basically, it's dealing with spreadsheets, and I know BSNA, it's the software that we have, but most clerks that I know too that have BSNA, but most clerks use Excel spreadsheets, and Ida has a different software, but my boss, Tara Schaefer, just took over last October, and she learned the bookkeeping part of a clerk's job in very short time, less than a month. It's not that level of management that we needed for the fire chief. So I'm not for spending money to try and find somebody that I don't want to minimize Trudy's job, because Trudy not only has to do the accounts payable and receivable, she's got everything else, the records management, the whole long list. So I'm not minimizing that, and I'm not denying that she needs help in doing this with the crazy election that we have going. I'm personally, as I said in my email, not in favor of that kind of payment, but based on what Trudy just said, it is what it is, I guess. And she said 4 to 6 weeks. I will say this, that I think that if we hire this gentleman for this 4 to 6 weeks, he not be considered as an applicant for the position, because it would be unfair him being in the office to see what these other applicants are, and then turn around and give him the job after all of that has been exposed. So I would ask that he not be considered. He just come in as this fill-in for 4 to 6 weeks. And my other question to those are my comments. My question to Trudy: what are his qualifications?
He has worked with an auditor. He has worked at other townships. He has experience with BSNA and the auditing portion of the finance manager position, finance position. We have an audit that we should be starting. He can get us started with that because he has worked for an auditor. He knows what they're looking for. And as far as being considered for this position, he has a full-time job. This is something that I've gone out seeking someone that could just temporarily fill in a couple days for us just till we get through this rough patch.
Well, I understand that, but once he's here and he sees the salary that a finance manager would have, I'm just saying, I'm not distrusting the man. I'm just saying that I think that should be a stipulation that he not be included in the pool of applicants. So he has a degree?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Mr. Steiner?
Oh, go ahead.
So the question, I jumped in with Nancy's emails this weekend as well. So we're saying that the gentleman that we're considering to help us out has a full-time job, and we're considering him working for us a couple days per week. Are we talking two 8-hour days, or, I mean, because right now, if we're looking at 2 8-hour days at $59.38 an hour, I would hope that if that's the number we're looking at, it's really 2 8-hour days and not, expecting $950 per week to come in for 2-3 hours a couple times.
No, it's 2 8, possibly 9,
Okay.
but it's locked in at a max of $950 a week.
And you did the right thing. Between you and Paul, you went out, you did a little research, got some other quotes from a couple other entities. So that it's not an easy pill to swallow, but it is what it is. And like you said, I've been contemplating all along here that what we were paying our previous finance person, full wages plus full benefits at this point for 4 to 6 weeks, we're looking at $4,000 to $6,000 approximately. And then we talked about changing our structure just a little bit when we do hire a new finance manager. So I think we're still going to come in under on an annual basis, even if we do have to go this 4 to 6 weeks at a higher rate.
Ms. Hirschberger?
I just want to say that when I was talking to these other companies, Plant Moran told me that right now there are so many jobs out there for finance that we're going to have a tough time finding anyone. They're paying very well, and there are just so many for these people to take. So we have to keep that in mind. Also, the temporary company that I was looking at said that if we were looking to hire someone, they have people that are they are willing to let go and be hired full time. And when I told her what the position would require, she came back, let me see if I can find it here. She came back that kind of position, they would not offer to any of their candidates for less than $75,000. Just so we know what we're looking at in the scheme of everything.
And I think that's what we talked about before, that, when we talked about a very low number, I said, if you go too low, then you're going to cut your applicant base right away. And we're probably on that borderline.
Right. I didn't put an amount when I put the ad out. I just.
Right. But we've discussed it during meetings, which are,
right.
The public meetings. So it's out there.
Right. I just thought this board could make that decision once we find a candidate.
Okay. So I look for a motion to let Trudy move forward with the hiring of the temp help.
I'll make the motion for Trudy to pursue into an agreement for up to 6 weeks to hire a part-time finance person to fill our empty position right now. That equates to at least 16 hours per week, possibly 18 hours per week at the locked rate of $950 per week. And if it does go past the 6 weeks, then we should bring it back to the board again for review.
Support.
Okay, motion by Mr. Steiner, supportive of Ms. Januzak. Discussion. Mr. Montroy?
Surely would it go past 6 weeks, or what is the 6 week mark? Is that like the deadline for when we were planning on looking for applicants, or?
The deadline that I have out there for accepting applications is July 31st. So I'm basing it on that line that we could possibly get someone in full-time by then.
Okay.
Like I said, I do have one application. That's the only one I have right now, but they are a very good applicant and they are local.
Plus, we have to go through the interview process as well.
And they probably have to give their employer a couple weeks too, so I think the
Correct.
6 weeks is a good number.
That's
And,
my 6 weeks. It's just off the top of my head approximately how long it would take.
Mr. Steiner?
And Trina, just so you know, I had volunteered to be part of the group for the interview process. It looks like I will be working locally for a while longer. So I'd like to continue to work with you and try to arrange schedules so I can do that. Even if it's during the day, if we really have to, let me know with an advance notice and I can probably make some arrangements.
Okay.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Ms. Tinneberry?
Aye.
Mr. Clemens?
Aye.
Mr. Monterey?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Number 9, comments from the public. Comments limited to 5 minutes for each individual. Okay. Good evening. State your name and address, please, and go ahead with your comment. Good evening. Go ahead with your comment. State your name and address, please. Hello? You lost it, George. Okay. I think that caller was sitting in the hold bank for a little bit, so. We're going to move to comments from Township Board. Oh, I was going to say we'll just keep stopping for callers. Go ahead, George. Good evening. Go ahead and state your name and address.
Keith Kitchen, 7284 Colonial Drive.
Go ahead with your comment. There's a little bit of back feed. Go ahead.
Okay. I was wondering some information, when Nancy was talking about the Secor Road, information, rezoning that particular property on Smith Road and Secor. You had some technical difficulties right then and there when Nancy was talking, and then when it came back on, you guys were making a motion and voting on it. So I'm not 100% sure what we missed on that. And I was wondering some information in reference to this roundabout on Jackman and Smith Road.
Okay.
We understand that the township went to Monroe County Road Commission in reference to this. I understand that the township put a lot of money into this so far in reference to buying out the Michigan Tavern, knocking it down, getting maybe some contaminated land that was there worked on to make this roundabout come true. I understand that the road commission as well promised or stuck to their guns in reference to $175,000 that was between the township and the road commission to share. I don't know what the meeting was about in reference to Thursday that the supervisor had with maybe 2 or 3 representatives from the board. If we could follow up on that and let the the township know exactly what's happening with that, since it was the township that went to the county with their plans. And we understand there was a park setting that the roundabout was going to be looking like, putting bushes and flowers and all this other kind of stuff. And then we didn't have enough money. The township was requested to maybe lower the price in reference to that. I don't know exactly where the $175,000 came from, because I understand you went back and asked for more money. Thursday's meeting, I understand you went back and asked for some more money. What has the township taxpayers paid in this?
If you just hold the meeting, we'll answer your questions for you after public comment time, okay? Do you have any more comments?
No, I'm set.
Okay. George, do you have any more comments from the public? Okay. If you just hold the meeting, we'll answer your questions for you after okay? Do you have any more comments? No, I'm set. Go ahead with your comment. George, do you have any more comments from the public?
Hello, members of the board. My name is April Brown.
Go ahead with your comment. What's your address?
6656 Secor Road. Now, normally I would not call into meetings like this, but I'm extremely distraught by the things that are happening in my community right now. We have maintenance workers, disrepair, and a reduction in state shared revenue, which everyone is now talking about, thanks to a new candidate who's running for township supervisor. As a mother of 4, the parks in Bedford are a big part of our lives, and I'm concerned because we have no money to fix them. Yet, in an announcement from our township, our current supervisor has said that Parmalee Park will be fixed. I did not see a park board meeting about it. The last one we had said that the park would not be fixed because we didn't have the money. At this point, my confidence in the current leadership is lost. You are supposed to have the best interests of the citizens in mind with every decision you make. Lately, it appears that decisions have been made in a haste to boost election numbers. This is more than the town of votes. We expect more from our elected officials. I am not a number. My children deserve better than a knee-jerk reaction every time someone questions something of an elected official. Please hear me when I say I am not asking you to fix the parks. I am not asking you to divert any funds in any direction. I'm simply asking for you to take care in the decisions you make, spend our tax dollars wisely, and when the time comes to decide what to spend that money on, for example, Parmalee Park, at least have a meeting and let the people of this wonderful township have the ability to weigh in on what is critical and what is not.
Is that it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Have a great night. Okay, George, next comment. Yeah, that's it. Okay, thank you for your comment. Have a great night. Okay, George, next comment. Go ahead with your comment. State your name and address, please.
I guess I'm on. This is Lamar Frederick, 3254 Deer Creek Drive. In terms of a finance manager, I think you people need to clearly understand, perhaps Nancy and Trudy will know, that is, this is government accounting. This is not corporate accounting. There are charts of accounts that the state requires be filled appropriately, and that when you put together your budgets and when you put together your ledgers and your balance sheets, that they have to be put together in accordance with government accounting, not corporate accounting. So make sure that whoever you're interviewing is familiar with the state chart of accounts, and make sure that that person is familiar with government accounting. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for your comments. Have a great night. Any more comments, George? Okay, go ahead with your comment.
Hi, this is Gail Kane, 1056 West Temperance. My comments, Nancy, it was on page 2, that green area that overflowed. So we won't go into that. I can get back with you later. But number 1, I'm glad to see that the political signage to re-elect a candidate was moved off of the township property, which is located at Smith and Jackman. Secondly, I would like to know just what is the process now that our union has filed a grievance. And number 3, I see conflict with 8E. In planning, we're told that the property owners have rights to do with their property, and yet now we have a land use and we have oversight from the ordinance department, interfering or telling people what they can and cannot do with their property. Fourthly, a couple of times, Mr. Peroni, you looked over to your right, and it almost appears as if you were reading notes. So I'm going to ask you outright, because I did see someone with you at the last meeting. Are you alone? Are you being coached? And if this is true, you are in violation of our Open Meetings Act. And if you did get a note from someone coaching you or telling you or saying something, I want you to read that publicly on TV right now at this minute. And lastly, I will be dropping off a box of Kleenex for you to keep in your virtual office, because it just gives a bad appearance to have you wiping your nose on your sleeve. So I'm concerned about how valid and how safe that township hall is for the public to be coming into it with all of these current issues going on. You have a nice night. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Have a good night. Any more comments from the public, George? Okay, is there any more callers? Somebody's seems like some, oh, there you go. You got another caller, George. Okay, go ahead with your name and address. Go ahead with your name and address and state your comment.
Yes, my name is Al Pryor, 1167 North Park. I can assure you that I'm at my home with my wife, and that Paul is at the meeting by himself. So if you'd like to hear my wife's voice to confirm that so that the resident knows, that would be fine.
I know it. I left it on.
I think Lamar Frederick is still on the line, George. If you could hang up his line. I think that's what all the laughing is. Okay. There's one more caller still on, George, if you would like to hang up, or is it a new caller? Okay. All right. Comments from township board members? Ms. Dinneberry?
Sure. Just to answer, I know you don't answer well the callers there, but the green space that the caller was referring to, it's hard to read, but it says public and semi-public recreation and suburban residential. I do believe that that is part of the Maple Grove park. So that's why it's public and semi-public. And that's part of what the planning department put together for the future land use. But I asked about that to Jody, and my understanding is that Lucy considered all of that, the planner, the paid planner, not the people in the planning department, considered that when she wrote her recommending of approval. So that's what it says. It's very difficult to read because it's black print on the green. So so that's the answer to the caller's question. I also wanted to make one statement. about the, another caller's comments. The park board is an elected board. So if you have issues with the parks, you would need to get in touch with the park board member. And I believe they're listed in on our webpage, correct, Trudy? They're all listed with their contact. So you could get in touch with the park board by checking our website and talking with them. They have their own budget and donated by the funds coming into the general fund, but they are an elected board and deal with the parks. The township board does not. You know, I just want to make a comment about the roundabout that was made. I have been against the roundabout from day one. I have wished the board or voted against it. I wish the board would have turned down the grant. Every grant that comes down the pike, especially from the state of Michigan, is not a grant. You end up paying through the nose for it. So I was not in favor of that. But today is a different day. We can't change the past. It is what it is. The board collectively voted on that. We had our chance to turn it down or accept it. So the roundabout, I mean, I don't know. I think Phil is going to comment on that because I didn't go to that meeting. But it is what it is. We can't change the past. We have to move forward. We can't complain and grumble about something that was decided. And we haven't lost the money. We can sell the property. There's other options. And this board will look at that with good eyes, clean eyes, eyes that are in the best interest of the public. So I can assure you of that. We have the public's best interest at heart. And then I just wanted to state that I'm finishing up the CIP. Actually, it is finished as it is. I sent it out to board members and heard nothing back except some add-a-girl, is that an add-a-girl, add-a-boy, whatever, except some cheerleading that I appreciated. And I will be taking it to the next planning commission meeting. They've made some comments as well, and soon, hopefully by the end of August, we will have it at the township board for approval as a recommendation from the planning commission. So my point is, if you want to look over that again, or if you somehow lost the copy, the email or whatever, I'd be happy to send it to you again. But if you do have comments or changes, please let me know because it's in its final stages. And I think that's the whole thing that I had. Thank you very much.
Mr. Clemens, and two, could you speak to the Harmony Park skate park issue? I think it was on your guys. Was it on your guys' last agenda?
It was. So just because the caller asked, the park board meets the second Monday of the month, and if there's enough business to justify a meeting on the fourth Monday, that happens. Those meetings are always published in compliance with Open Meeting Act on the township website, so you can go, you can attend. I'm sure they would love for more people to come and get involved. The park board is actually looking right now to start a Friends of the Park. They too realize that with COVID, that funds are short and times are tough and are looking for some volunteer help. So if anybody has a green thumb or a spare shovel that they want to throw around, I'm sure they would appreciate it. The issue on the skate park has been, I think, confusing to a lot of people. It's largely been an issue of funding, but moreover, finding a contractor that would be willing to take on the project. A lot of contractors have the right licensure to build. They like doing homes. As we all know, if you call right now and you're looking to get a contractor to come to your house to do work, it's difficult because there's a lot of business out there. Compound that with concerns over the condition of the park, what it would really take to bring it back, has made the process very arduous. In the last 3 weeks now, someone was located who was willing to step up, take responsibility for the final completion of the work. By and large, the park board has the materials it needs to complete the skate park. And my understanding, based on the meeting last Monday night, is that's moving forward. And I know they're working as fast as they can so that hopefully fingers crossed, the park can be utilized before we roll into winter break this year. But the issue never has been a disinterest or not a desire. I think the park board realizes that it's essential to teenagers and those who are just under teens to have a place to get outdoors. It's one of the few recreational amenities in our community that appeals largely to that segment. And so they're sensitive to that and have reprioritized it so that it can get open. But like I said, if you have a chance, come to the park board meeting, get engaged, because I'm sure they would love your support. Mr. Supervisor, other than that, I don't have any additional comments.
Okay. And I'd just like to add, so the board members are aware, Dennis Kohler has been working on it in his spare time, the skate park. He's been partnered with the park board. When he has an hour during the workday, he'll head over there and work on it a little bit. It might take a little longer, but he's doing what he can in his, if he has spare time. Mr. Matra?
Yeah, I don't think anything for me. We did, I partnered up with the park board and about 25 volunteers last Saturday, and we went and did some park cleanup. And just to echo TC's sentiments, that it is it's a simple thing. I mean, we went out and put a couple hours in and made a big difference, and that's all we talked about the whole time was this is such an easy thing. If you can round up 25, 30 volunteers a couple times a year, our parks would be in a way better position. That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Steiner?
Just two things tonight. Mr. Kitchens had called in about the Secor Road project there at Secor by Smith. And he was wondering about what took place when we were having technical difficulty. And just to state that we suspended all activity on that project until we could get our cable system and our equipment within the township hall back in line. So there was nothing actually took place during that time frame. When we brought the cable system and YouTube videos back up, then we proceeded with our full motion and the appropriate voting process. Second thing is, as many of you know, I've always said about treating your fellow man or your common neighbors or citizens of our community, treat them with respect. And I just want to say that I have seen a lot of respect in the last few weeks. I've been trying to get in good exercise with bicycling, and I will say that everyone in the community so far has gone well out of their way to either give at least 6 to 8 feet of room when right along the sidelines of the road, or if there's oncoming traffic, they have very carefully waited until traffic clears, and they've been very courteous about leaving room. So I have to applaud the community for taking that into consideration, that when we do have people out there walking or riding bikes, etc., that we do take care of our fellow man. So that's all I want to say, and just congratulate the people for watching out for one another.
Mr. Goldsmith, I'm going to let you go ahead and update on the roundabout at this time.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. So before our last board meeting, we received a letter from the Monroe County Board of Road Commissioners attorney, and basically that letter stated that the road commission was going to cap their contribution to $175,000 for the roundabout project. Now, it's important to remember that the roads involved here, Smith Road and Jackman Road, are both county roads. So it was the township that was asked to partner with the road commission on this project. This is a road commission project. The road commission will enter into the contract for the project, and they will submit to MDOT, the Michigan Department of Transportation, bids if the project goes forward. But the letter was written to state that due to additional costs that were unforeseen by the engineer and by the road commission employee who, at the beginning, set the budget for this project at $597,000 for the roundabout. That was a low number, as it was proven out when our engineer got involved and actually did the engineering estimates and put those numbers in line. So if you remember at the last board meeting, I suggested that you allow me and a couple of representatives from our board to meet with the road commission along with our engineer, Barry Bushman, and we did that last Thursday. Prior to that meeting, Barry Bushman had the letter from the road commission's attorney, and he prepared a response. He prepared a timeline for the overall project all the way back to the beginning, and Barry's been involved from the beginning, all the way back to the beginning where it was the road commission who came to the township and asked, would you be interested in this project? And there may be a grant available. Would you like us to apply for that grant? And I'm paraphrasing him, but Barry Bushman put together a very detailed chronology of events. That was submitted to the road commission along with 7 suggestions authored by Barry as to how this project could possibly go forward should the road commissioners consider it. So we met Thursday. Randy Pierce was there representing the managing director of the road commission. 2 of the county board of road commissioners were there. Charles Londo and Dan Minton was there, and several road commission employees, a finance director, and 2 of our board members, was it, Paul? Yourself.
Ms. Januzak, Mr. Montry, and myself, so 3.
That's right. Okay, so we had what I thought was a spirited discussion, but by and large a healthy discussion. And the road commission has basically stated to us at this time that their contribution to this project is $175. They asked us to partner at the same amount, $175. This board agreed to do that, and I appreciate Nancy's comments because, in fact, it was a board decision. So now for this project to go forward, it's going to take an additional contribution, and quite frankly, it will take an additional contribution both by the road commission and by the township. So even though the road commission was presented in detail by our engineer, Barry Bushman, as to what alternatives exist, 7 of them actually, we kind of narrowed that down to 2. And the road commission was asked on 2 of those, and one of which was, would the road commission provide in-kind services for the project, which would be engineering, inspection, oversight, and review. Would they contribute those resources from their staff, which would, by Barry's estimate, reduce the project by about $100,000. That was one. And then the other thing that was discussed by Barry and by the road commission, we, Bedford Township, receive money each year for road projects within the township. And so the question was presented by Barry, would the road commission and the township would have to agree, the board would have to agree to take that money. And it's unknown yet what that amount will be because the road commission doesn't know what their revenue sharing amount will be yet. It hasn't been disclosed by the state, and use that money for 1 year for the roundabout. And at the conclusion of the meeting, the road commissioners specifically asked, even though they had it in writing from Barry, would we submit a letter to them in advance of their next meeting, which is on the 27th, asking if they would consider in-kind contribution and use of money for road improvement projects to go toward the roundabout project. So that letter is going out to the road commission, and to each individual Board of County Road Commissioner, and they'll consider that at the 27th meeting. I don't know whether they will say yes or no. Depending on their answer, at our next board meeting, it will come back to this board. If, for instance, they say, yes, we will provide in-kind contribution, and yes, we will cooperate to provide whatever amount would be allocated for Bedford Township to use that money to complete the project, then it could be sent for bid by the Road Commission to the state of Michigan. And then depending on the bids that come back, if it's within 10% of the bid, in other words, it can't go 10% over the bid amount, a contract would be awarded to the successful bidder. So the price could even go up by 9.9%, for example, and the contract would be awarded. So this will come back to the board for further consideration. Another option that was talked about and considered, not really considered, but talked about, because this board would have to make that decision, is that the engineering is all but done, the property has been acquired, and there will be grants in the next grant cycle, which would be 2023. The project could be delayed until 2023. A new grant applied for, and this time the grant application by the Road Commission would be in an amount that would suffice to construct the entire improvement. So that's another option that the Road Commission has talked about, that this board should be aware of. There's, I guess I won't go into greater detail, because until we know what the Road Commission will offer, there's not really that much for us to discuss. So these are county roads. We have partnered with the Road Commission, and the information that I'm providing to you came principally from Barry Bushman in terms of the chronology. But those are our options. We'll see what the Road Commission states after their meeting, or at their meeting on the 27th. I expect it to be on the agenda for our next meeting. The board, I'm sure, will give it careful consideration and do what's right for this project.
Thank you, Mr. Goldsmith. Ms. Janizek?
Other than the tax bills are out, and that's all I have.
Well, that's such great news. Ms. Hirschberger?
Let's see, I have quite a bit. If you received a letter in the mail or by email regarding your signature verification, please contact the clerk's department or send us the information we're requiring. A lot of our signatures from the Secretary of State's office are old. We can't verify the signatures from them, so we were asking for your information so we can update that in our records. Remember, this is a primary, so if you're voting absentee, please choose a party and stay within party lines. If you cross, then that portion of the ballot would not count. You can always come in and get another ballot. It would be called spoiling your ballot. We can issue you a new one, but as long as you stay within party lines, you'll be fine. That's both on the front and the back of the ballot. The last day to request a ballot by mail will be Friday, July 31st at 5 p.m. The Township Clerk's Office will be open Saturday, August 1st from 8 to 4 p.m. We will be utilizing the drive-up window, the drop slot. If you need to come in the township, we are asking for you to set an appointment that day to come in. And then just an update on ballots and applications. Like I stated previously, 26,948 applications were sent out. We have received almost 6,000. We have issued almost 6,000 ballots, and out of those 6,000 ballots, we have received in about 39% or approximately 2,300. We also have many applications waiting for verifications of signatures. So if you send in an application and you don't have a ballot, it's probably a signature verification that we're waiting on. I probably have at least 100 applications that are sitting in that spot. If you sent your application by email and you haven't received a ballot, contact my office to make sure that we did receive that ballot. Other than that, I have nothing.
Well, I want to thank all the callers that called in tonight. We appreciate it when you do call in and ask questions, and we can give you the answers. A lot of times we go to Facebook and just say what we think, and it's a lot of times inaccurate. So I appreciate the people that have called in tonight. A few things. I think Mr. Goldsmith gave a great explanation on the roundabout. That's where we're at. Ms. Tinneberry hit it on the head. The board has moved forward with this project since day one. No one person can make a decision. One individuals can bring stuff to the table, but the board has to move forward on it. So all the good stuff we've done together has been the board, and all the bad stuff we've done together, whatever it may be, has been the board. So we're in this together. So I appreciate everything we do. I was the one that helped organize the 25 volunteers that Mr. Montry was actually volunteered at. Basically what the grievance is about is I asked a seasonal person to take a day off and come in Saturday, and they agreed to it. There was no added time. There was no overtime. It was simply switching days. Unfortunately, our maintenance department didn't ask that. One of our lead guys was gone that prior week, the foreman. So the grievance was filed, and so we're going through the legal process, which unfortunately, unfortunately for them, they don't have a leg to stand on. They do want back pay, but I have every right to move people's days around. So I understand it's tough at times for the maintenance department. Things have changed a lot since I've taken over. We're saving in upwards of about $150,000 a year in the maintenance department, probably more. We're having more volunteers than ever working in our parks, our library, our buildings to save taxpayer dollars. We've saved well over $100,000 of taxpayer dollar just in volunteerism. We have 2 less maintenance guys that work in the department now. We're doing the same job. And ultimately, we have more tax dollars to utilize for the citizens. When I first came to the township hall, maintenance would fill up coffee and deliver packets to township officials. They don't do that anymore. They're expected to work, and I make sure, so I'm probably not the most well-liked guy around, but we get a good job done, and it's efficient. So that's the grievance, and that's Mr. Clemens talked about the park board and the skate park. That was a board decision. I simply put the message out there on Facebook because I don't think our park board members are on Facebook that are actually there. So I put the message out there. So, but Dennis Kohler, like I said, is going to be helping on the side, doing what he can do to fix that. And I think Mr. Clemens hit it on the head. They've had trouble finding the right contractor to do the work. And, the park board has been very creative in the last few years. They've sold, I think, 1 property, and they're about to sell a 2nd property. That's less we have to maintenance, less we have to take care of. And they have an extra, I think they got 30 or 40,000, Mr. Clemens, from the sale of Substation and Crab. I think it was 40,000. And they're looking at about 30,000 for the sale of the property in Mohawk Trails. So they're getting creative to do more. And they did with the skate park too. They're going to save a lot of money and get that done. On a positive note, Heitman Steel is putting a major addition on their plant, and they're going to be having 65 new jobs. The Business Development Corporation worked very closely with them over the past year or so to get this done. And that partnership that we have with the Business Development Corporation and Tim Lake and Matt Vanisicker, they do an amazing job. It's huge in this day and age, in this time right now that we're in. We're bringing in new jobs and putting big additions on in Bedford Township. People want to be here. People want to grow in Bedford. And everything we're doing like this, it's all economic development. COVID has been very hard on everybody, but we need to be safe and let's continue to support our local business when we can. I know it's extremely tough on them right now, but we need to continue to support them in any way we can. Other than that, board, did I miss anything? Did the question, Ms. Janzak, do you have a question? Your hand's up?
Yeah, I did forget. I did have something to say.
Okay.
The adapter road, people are out cleaning up the roads, putting with their bags. So just be careful out there, be safe, watch for them. And they can bring in their, the paperwork that they fill out, they can put it in the drop slot or to the drive-through. And my department will make sure that they get faxed to the road commission. So that way it's all handled through there. That was one of the things that I needed to say.
Very good.
Thanks.
Anybody, did I miss anything? Anybody else have any further comments? Seeing none, everybody have a blessed week and we'll see you soon. We're adjourned.